G'day, welcome back. This video is about my application for an O visa, O Non Immigrant Visa for Thailand. These are applied for within Thailand, or I'm applying for mine within Thailand. Bit of background, I suppose. I was on an OA non-immigrant multi-entry visa. That was valid until the 14th of December this year. But what I did was, I did a short trip to Australia recently to carry out some business. And normally what you do if you want your OA visa to remain valid, you apply for a re-entry permit. A single re-entry permit costs 1,000 baht, a multiple costs 3,800 baht. And that allows you to, when you come back into the country, it allows for your current visa to continue on. But I took a bit of a risk, I suppose, in that I left the country, I didn't get a re-entry stamp. So when I came back to Thailand, I came in on a tourist visa. I believe from the 1st of October, they're actually increasing the visa on arrival, or the tourist visa, from a 30-day visa to a 45-day visa. And you can apply at immigration before that expires and extend it for another 30 days. So basically what I did was, when I came back into the country, I just came back in on a tourist visa, which was at that time 30 days. So I went to immigration and applied for an extension of that. So that gave me another 30 days. Now, during that period, I applied for a O visa. There's a few categories of O. There's marriage, there's retirement, I think there's business, etc. I applied for the marriage visa because I'm now married to a Thai citizen. So I went to the immigration office. I filled out an application form, which is a TM87. So I filled out one of those forms. You include a passport-sized photo with that application form. The application costs 2,000 baht. You also need a map to where you live in Thailand, or you're living. You need, and let me just go back a step, I suppose, that this is my experience, right? And my immigration office. Everywhere you go in Thailand, the immigration requirements can differ. So I'm just explaining my situation. So where you are, or if you're applying for this in another province, things could be different. So just be aware of that. So again, I needed a TM87, which is an application. I needed a site plan or a map showing where I lived in relation to the immigration office. And that's a little like hand-drawn thing, but they'll give you a bit of paper, like a template that you just draw on. I needed a copy of my TM30. That's every time you go out of the country and you come back in, and you're staying for extended periods of time, you need to provide proof of where you're living. So if it's a hotel or a condo or a house or whatever, you need the owners of those complexes or the managers to complete a TM30 for you, and that registers where you're living in Thailand. So I needed a copy of that. I needed a copy of my passport, every page. Needed a copy of the blue book for the premises that I was living in. I needed a copy of the ID of my partner. I needed a copy of the marriage certificate. And with the marriage certificate, there's another thing called a corsaw, and you need to provide a copy of that as well. That's basically just a document that goes along with the marriage certificate that shows who the witnesses were and so forth, and is signed by the local AMPA where we applied for our marriage. You need to have, for a marriage, you need to have photographs. I think it's a minimum of two, like one standing out the front of the house, usually near the letterbox showing the address of the house, and one of inside the house. I actually provided 4 photos, one right at the front of the house, one standing at the front of the house near the balcony, and a couple of photos of inside the house as well. You also have to provide, I had to provide a copy of my bank statement. I provided a bank statement for 12 months, and with that you have to provide a letter from the bank which basically certifies that is a true account of your banking details. Now with the banking, with the O visa, there's a financial requirement that you have to satisfy, whether it's applying for it or whether you're applying for an extension after 12 months or so. 2 instances. One is 40,000 baht a month. You have to prove that you've been bringing money from overseas into Thailand for every month in the amount of 40,000 baht or more. I was okay with that because I've been on an OA visa and I've had to bring in 65,000 baht a month to satisfy the requirements of that visa. So I was well and truly over the 40,000 baht mark. The other method is that you can put in 400,000 baht into a Thai bank and have it sit there for 2 or 3 months before you apply, and then when you're doing your extension or whatever, that money has to be there in the bank 3 months after your extension or your application. So I've chosen the 40,000 baht a month method. You also have to provide them with a copy of your bank book. Normally what you do is you update it that day that you're applying, and you take a photocopy of it, of the bank book, showing that it's a current situation. I'm not quite sure why they require that, but even on my old visa, I had to do that as well when I was applying for extensions, so it's no big deal. I normally provide them with a copy of my bank book showing all the entries as well, even though I'm providing them with a bank statement, so, and they accept that. So depending on how many pages are in your passport and how many pages of your bank book, etc., are in your bank book, depends on how many pages this application makes up. I think I ended up with about 18 pages of documents or copies, and you have to give them provide 2 copies of all that information. Now, one of the things they wanted was every document that I'd supplied, like copy of Blue Book, copy of TM30, copy of passport, all things that basically were mine, they stamped with an immigration stamp, and I had to go through and write my name on every one. And because I was applying for a marriage certificate, a marriage visa, marriage, my partner had to sign them as well, or most of them. Anything pertaining to her, I think, she had to sign, like the marriage certificate, the Corsair, her ID, the Blue Book, etc., etc. So can take a little while to go through all of them. Like I say, I had about 18 pages, so I had to sign 36 times. Not sign, you actually have to write your name. So it's not a signature or anything like that. You just have to write your name. So I had to do that 36 times, which is it's a bit of a nuisance, but it's what has to be done. Once I had provided all of that, they went through it all, checked it all, and they gave me a piece of paper which they stapled into my passport, which was a under consideration stamp. And I applied on the 5th of September, and my under consideration stamp was through until the 26th of September. So as I'm making this video now, I have to visit the immigration office tomorrow and see what happens. So yeah, fingers crossed I'll be allowed to stay in Thailand. My previous extension of a tourist visa was up until the 9th of October. So if this doesn't work for me, I have until the 9th of October to try and figure out what to do. And if I can't stay in Thailand, well, then I just have to leave the country. So yeah, fingers crossed. I'm hoping that I can actually get this O visa. I'm not quite sure how long the visa will be for. There's some sort of debate as whether they'll give me one for 2 months and then I have to renew that or apply for an extension to that, or whether they'll give me 12 months straight up. We'll wait and see. I'll find out tomorrow about that one. So yeah, fingers crossed. The immigration officers did tell me that it was a lot easier to get the O retirement visa than it was the marriage one. So if all else fails and I'm not accepted with the O marriage visa, I think I will try and apply for an O retirement visa. I have been told that it only takes 1 or 2 days to get that sorted out, so maybe that would be a better option, I'm not sure. But like I said previous, every immigration office is different, so you just have to go with the flow. You have to work with them and try and find the best way to do it all for your circumstances at your immigration office. Okay, so I went back to immigration on the 26th of September and they put a stamp in my passport which I don't fully understand. It's the dates don't seem to make sense to me. They don't seem to match up. But anyway, the story, I suppose, is that I ended up getting a stamp in my passport that is saying that I was admitted on the 21st of September until the 19th of December 2022. So they've told me that I have to come back on or before the 19th of November to submit all these documents again. So all the documents I've talked about earlier in the video, I have to submit all of them again. So I'm hoping once I do that, I will then be issued with a 12-month visa. But I suppose I'll just have to wait and see. So this was a little bit of a surprise to me, but at least I get to stay in Thailand, and I've got the opportunity to try and extend this out now and try and get a O visa and stay in Thailand for another 12 months. So that's it. All right then, well, that brings me to the end of the video. I hope it was helpful to some people if you're considering applying for an O visa. It may be of help, I hope so. So I'll say bye for now, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.